Hello world of YouTube, my name is Pat, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my quick little review on the game Fable 2 that just came out. And you know this is a good review because I'm not being bribed by Microsoft. Well, to start with, I've got to say that I'm absolutely in love with the idea of the Fable games. And what I'm really intrigued about it is that they seem to be trying to take the scope of a PC game and combining that with the conventions of console games. So it has that depth of that you look for in a PC game, but yeah, at the same time, the couchability, as it were, that you find in most consoles. The question that is presented then in this review is, does Fable 2 live up to that? And that's, I guess, what we're going to jump into now and find out. Let me begin by going ahead and laying out all those questions you have about the gameplay that you know that aren't really being answered. And, well, for starters, the dog. The dog is actually interesting, I've got to say. I was surprised. It's not anything that Molyneux, I hate his name, Molyneux, ever promised, that this would be a companion that would get attacked and people would feel bad and you can be bad towards and are good towards. No, really, it's just a GUI. That's all it is. It's a graphical user interface. It points out where treasure chests are, and it finishes off people who fall on the ground. He did an early tech demo where you play fetch with it. That's a little gesture that you can make in the game, but it never works because that, along with many other things in the game, are completely broken. In addition to a broken little fetch gesture that you can make, another thing about the dog that never lived up to is that it never dies, though, like I said. You can heal it, and it gets hurt, but the only reason it's ever attacked is because it somehow gets in the crossfire, but enemies don't go after it. And the dog doesn't sick people like they showed in the demos. It only goes up and it attacks people on the ground. You can't order it to attack anybody, you can't order it to heal or anything. You can order it to heal, H-E-A-L, but that's really about it. What is, however, really interesting about the dog is that he really does a good job of setting the tone for the story, and that he'll growl when there's people around, and he'll cower in, you know, scary places like swamps infested with zombies and whatnot like that. And that actually does end up being quite interesting, and it does add a lot to the game. And in a small sense, you do feel a little bit of an attachment. I do, and I'm a pretty damn jaded person. The next big question I'm sure you have about the gameplay is just how free roaming is this game? Well, to answer that, it's not really Oblivion, like infinite scrolling map kind of free roaming like worlds, but it's more like a Zelda kind of world where it's locked into little sections, and I'm okay with that because there's a little bit of a trade-off, and since they're not covering miles and miles and miles, that the actual terrain and the maps have more details to them, and it's more polished, and I kind of like, I can go either way, and just so long as, you know, they take the time to make it well-rounded maps, I'm okay with it. And they did, so that's fine. What I don't like, though, however, is that you're really kind of glued to the ground at all times. You can't really jump. You can do crappy little vaults over things, but only on spots where the map makers have go ahead and painted that you can vault here. Other than that, you really are kind of stuck to the whims of the game designers, which kind of sucks, and I'm not really happy with. I'd much rather have it where you can go ahead and jump around of your own free will and get a chance to really get into the game and break it, you know? That's why I love doing these kind of games. When you have a game where you're supposed to be able to go anywhere and do anything, I like to be able to go anywhere and do anything, including going to the spots where I'm not supposed to. But, you know, whatever. It's not something that I'm going to cry over, you know? I mean, it's something that is a little bit of annoyance, but I guess it's more of a preference than anything else. So, no fault really there. Well, on to combat then. I'm sure everybody's really wanting to know about combat and how it plays out, and that they're promising to be this great new engine and this and that. And, you know, I gotta say it's not that horrible, and that it's actually an intelligent way of doing it, and you get some good meat and variety out of just one button, and it does work pretty well. But it does run into some problems as well. For starters, though, the actual engine of the combat runs into problems that whenever you're doing flurry moves, you always seem to be doing a spinning move when you want to do like a downward attack, and you're always doing a downward attack when you want to do a spinning move, because those flourishes seem to be random at best. And the other thing is that it's way too easy. It's way, way, way too easy. And you just kind of feel sad for the enemies most of the game because there's no challenge to it. When the game first starts off, you're fighting these weak little level 1 characters, and they all pop like cherries when you hit them in one shot or so. But that should be expected because it's the beginning of the game. But the sad part is that it gets this middle dry area where you're kind of trying to level up, and then once you get leveled up, you're right back to square one, and you're just bashing people's heads apart like nothing. And there's probably like maybe one or two parts in the game where I really felt challenged. I think I only used one of their revive vials like once throughout the entire game, and that's no exaggeration whatsoever. Of course, if we're talking about combat, well, we gotta start talking about the RPG engine. Here's where some big rough seas are ahead. Right here is the RPG engine. I had some massive issues with it. I mean, this is what really annoyed me about it. Is it's an RPG. You're supposed to be able to expand where you want to and go however you want to, but everything had 5 level cap to it. So you don't really feel like you were growing that much. You have 5 steps in every single little thing. You get 5 steps up in endurance. You get 5 steps up in strength. You get 5 steps up in accuracy. But the other thing that annoys me about it is that the slide of it is so off kilter. It's horrible. It's like every time that you go up level, it times how much experience it takes to get by like 20. So it's really kind of pointless not to level up your character evenly, because why are you going to bother going up 2 levels on one area as opposed to 1 on each, considering that it's going to be 1/20th the cost? So yeah, it just kind of loses all balance there. The one thing that they did do that I thought was pretty nifty is I really did enjoy the way that they broke down the experience points. That they broke them into 4 categories: general, strength, accuracy, and willpower. And I think that was from the first game as well, and they used it again now, and it still works good. They definitely smoothed out though the multipliers though. There was a multiplier in the first game that was way janky, but this one's a lot more smooth and more sensical. The only slight change I personally would make about the multipliers is that I wouldn't have it apply towards experience potions. But that's, again, a matter of preference and game design. And they went that way, and, I mean, it could work for some. I just find it annoying trying to juggle drinking potions with doing combat, and I didn't find that too entertaining, because there's nothing worse than shelling out $10,000 or whatnot on a potion and having to wait until you can get your combat multiplier up to 40 or 400%, which is nearly impossible. And then on top of that, while doing this perfect combat, chug a potion. But whatever.